So I'd like to ask you something. Do you believe in God? Do you consider yourself someone who believes in God, but despite that belief, you find yourself struggling in life, unhappy, depressed, angry? If that's the case, then I think this video series is going to be for you. This video series is about having and developing a deep faith and connection with God. And it's based on a book that's devoted to that very subject. Hi, I'm Joe Miller, and no, I'm certainly not a rabbi or a preacher or a priest or imam, and I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a doctor, any of those things. Many of you know that I'm a trial lawyer, and I'm a workers' compensation lawyer in both Virginia and North Carolina. But this is something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. Why? Why is that? So first, if you get our firm newsletter, you know that, you probably know by now that I'm a pretty religious person, and you've seen my little Soul Snacks section of the newsletter with the little tidbits in there, little spiritual quotes that I hope are uplifting for you. And by the way, that's why we call this video series Soul Snacks. And the second thing really is in my practice, I often come across folks who really are at the end of their rope, okay? Their careers, the things that they've done their whole life, because of a devastating injury, these things have been ripped away from them. And I wanted to try to do more to help my clients other than to just be a legal problem solver. Third, like many folks in my business, you know, I've been through my own struggles. Don't get me wrong, I love what I do. I love helping injured people. That's what I do for a living. But the pressure of running a law firm and making sure everyone's taken care of can get to you after a while. So a few years back, I came across this book, and it really enhanced my life, and I think it can enhance yours too. It provides a lot of the answers that I think many of us seek in our darkest moments of life. And I think, and I've even had one person tell me that this book literally saved their life. I mean, they were on the edge of suicide, and reading this book and learning its principles prevented them from doing that. So, also I'm giving classes to others on this very subject and other related material, and I feel like, you know, this format, you know, I'm kind of used to standing in front of the camera and yakking away if you've seen some of my other videos. And so I thought maybe, you know, this might be a good idea. Hopefully, you know, just helpful not to my clients, but to anyone who wants to learn a little bit more on the subject and wants to seek out more faith in their life. So not to sound like a cliche, but, you know, if I can help just one person, then hey, I'll be thrilled. And I'm very excited about doing this. So yes, let's get some things out of the way. Yes, I'm Jewish. That's why I got this beanie here on my head. And the book series is based on is actually, the book series that this is based on, the book this series is actually based on is actually written by a rabbi, but it's not written just for Jewish people. It's written for everyone. It's written for Christian people, Muslim people. It's written for everybody. And it's called The Universal Garden of Emunah. And it's written by a man named Rabbi Shalom Arush, who lives in Israel, and is translated into English by Rabbi Lazer Brody, who also lives in Israel. He's an American who lives in Israel also. Now, this book has sold millions of copies worldwide. It's been translated into numerous languages, and Rabbi Arush and Rabbi Brody are very popular speakers, and they tour all around the world doing speaking engagements. And by the way, you know, I hope the fact that it's written by a rabbi doesn't put anybody off. I mean, after all, I don't know, some of you might know who's the most famous rabbi ever, right? I'll give you a hint. I know many of you watching this are quite familiar with his teachings. I'll give you another hint. His initials are JC. Okay, now we know who he is, right? So although I cannot claim to be an expert, I can't claim to be an expert on Christianity or Islam, I have zero doubt that Jesus would have no problem with any of the concepts in this book, and nor would Muhammad, because we know that all three faiths on this planet, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they all share a common belief in God. And so first, let's talk about the title a little bit. Universal. Universal means, it's just like I said, it's for everybody. But what's this weird word in the title, Emunah, okay? Emunah is the ancient biblical original Hebrew word for pure, simple, unshakable faith in God. also happens to be the name of my youngest daughter. But why not just say garden? So why not just say Garden of Faith? The difference is if faith is like a car, then faith is kind of like driving a Ford Focus, and Emunah is like driving a Lamborghini. Okay, it's a whole nother level, right? So Rabbi Arush says right in his intro to the book that he wrote this book because he came to the conclusion that the lack of this thing, the lack of Emunah, this very deep faith in God, is the root of all human suffering in the world. And that's a pretty huge statement. That means if we could really learn to develop our faith and our connection to God in the deepest way we can, as we'll learn about, we could literally save the world. And we could save the world from war, from hunger, from jealousy, from depression, misery, all of it. So if that isn't a subject matter that's worth talking about in a video series, I don't know what is. So before I go further, I wanted to get one item of housekeeping out of the way, and I think I'm going to end up saying this at the beginning of every video. First of all, just to be clear, I'm not going to be trying to convince anybody who doesn't believe in God to believe in God in this video series. In fact, if you don't believe in God, I'm not judging you at all, but these videos are probably not for you. Please, if you don't believe in God, don't watch these videos and, just to leave, hateful comments or try to criticize me or Rabbi Arush or try to attempt to convince people in the comments in this space here that there's no God. It's not my intention to encourage that kind of discussion here at all. I'm not trying to convince you to change your beliefs as an atheist, and so please don't take up the space trying to convince other people or myself to change ours, okay? So, there are plenty of other places and forums for that kind of discussion. Now, if you're interested, the other thing I want to tell you, if you're interested in getting a copy of the book, The Universal Garden of Emunah, all you have to do is either email us at intake1@joemillerinjurylaw.com or call us at 877, it's toll free, 877-622-8656, and we will mail you a free copy of this book. Why am I doing that? Because I think this material is that important, and I'm willing to do that. And now this is only for folks that live in Virginia or North Carolina, okay? So if you live in Virginia or North Carolina and you want a free copy, email us at the email on the screen here or call us at the number on the screen. So real quick, let's just dive in a bit in the little time we have left in this video as to, the book. So chapter 1 of the book, Rabbi Arush really gets into a little bit of his path to becoming a spiritual leader. How did he end up? What really started him on this path? So he relates some very intense experiences that he had, some horrific things that happened to him, which caused him to literally challenge God. And guess what? God responded. Not only responded, but he responded in color, in vivid color, in a very obvious way. So, as I said before, Rabbi Arush grew up in Israel. He lives in Israel. And like every young Israeli citizen, he went into the army. He ended up being an airborne medic in the army. Now, he saw plenty of his comrades blown to bits and injured very severely, and many folks died. He had to watch many of them die in his job as an airborne medic. If that was not enough, after the army, while he's in college, he gets a telegram one day. And in this telegram, it says that 5 of his best friends were blown up in a helicopter accident, in a helicopter crash. And he says that in college, he says in the book, in college, he was like a lot of guys that are in college. He did what most guys in college do, spend most of his time. Yes, he was a good student, but he spent a lot of his time doing what most guys in college do, which is chasing girls and partying, right? But after going to 5 funerals in a row of his best friends, he started to question things. He started to ask the big questions. What's the point of any of this in life? Why am I studying all this math stuff? He was a math student. Why am I studying all this stuff? What's the point of it if I'm just going to die one day? This is how we end up. And so he actually began to talk directly to God at that point, wondering if God cared about him at all. And he had this incredible feeling. He started to feel that God was answering him. He literally felt God's presence, he says, and even though he had done things that he was ashamed of, he started to realize, my heart's still beating. God is letting me live. And not only is he letting me live, he's causing me to live. And he began to feel this presence of God and this loving presence of God that, yeah, God really does love me. But after that experience, the doubts creep back in. Many of you who are people of faith would say, well, that's just the devil, right? In the book, they refer to this repeatedly as the evil inclination, really the same thing. So he sort of gave God a challenge at that point. He says, all right, God, if you really exist, if you really love me, you can send my brother here right now. Please send my brother here right now. Now, his brother was, at the time, was way up north, several hours away. His brother was in the army, serving in the army at that time. Well, about an hour after he made that prayer, knock, knock, knock at the door, here's his brother who shows up. And the brother was saying all these strange things, like, I don't know what came over me. I just felt like I had to see you. I got in the car. I don't even know why I was driving or anything. I just felt like I had to see you. Very weird. And that was quite a confirmation, right? Many of us would at that point say, okay, that's it, you know. But again, like a lot of people, doubts started creeping in again, you know. So he was close to his final exams at school, so he gave God another challenge, yet again. He said, God, if you're really there, I didn't have a chance to study like I wanted to on this. If you're really there and you really care for me, you will put on the exam the exact things that I studied for and nothing else, because I only had time to study certain subjects. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. He aced the exam. Only the things that he studied were on the exam and nothing else, right? And again, he started developing doubts. But this time, what happened to him? He started developing these horrible, excruciating headaches, so bad that his life became like a living hell. He went to doctor after doctor after doctor, and nobody could come up with any ideas for him. He tried medicine after drug, and nothing worked. Nothing got rid of the headaches. So what did he do? He prayed to God again, please get rid of my headaches. And within minutes, literally within minutes, the headaches, after all these doctors could do nothing, they completely disappeared. So at that point, he realized that God had illuminated his soul. God had shown him the path to Emunah, to strong belief in God. And from that point on, young Mr. Arush began to talk to God every day. And mind you, he wasn't a religious person at this time. He wasn't, kind of person that you with a long beard or anything like that, the way he looks now. But he really started on the path that led him to be a spiritual leader. He realized that faith in God was not only that there is God, but he started to realize the three principles of Emunah that we're going to talk about in video number 3. And that's 3 things, and it's important to keep these in mind. And they're all successively a little bit difficult. Number 1, God runs the world. That's the first principle. Number 2, a little harder. Not only does God run the world, but God does everything for the best. Number 3, God not only does everything for the best, but he does it for a specific purpose. Okay? Those are the 3 principles of Emunah that, as I said, we're going to get into a bit more in video number 3. Meanwhile, I hope this introduction to the book, The Universal Garden of Emunah, has been helpful to you. Please don't hesitate to leave some comments. Please subscribe to the page if you like. And remember, if you reside in Virginia, North Carolina, please go ahead and email us at the email and number on the or call us on the number on the screen to get your free copy of this book. I thank you for watching. May God bless you with everything good. And Joe Miller out.